Recording?
We are. Maybe.
No.
That we are.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the O365 Pulse. This will be the shortest episode on, and I guess this will be the last Office 365 Pulse, and we'll have to change it to the Microsoft 365 Pulse officially. Whatever. It's going to be one of those things that they can call it Microsoft 365 all they want to, and I'm going to have a hard time getting there. We have a total of 19 items on our list, and I would say 16 of them we've talked about 2 or 3 times already. So for our faithful viewers, this will be our shortest show ever. No worries, though. There's just not a lot going on. But that's because they're doing so many other things to keep us up and going, to deal with the new announcements, everything that they've got going on. I'm honestly surprised they've done as good of a job as they have done, keeping the roadmap updated through all of this as they're going. So we actually have had updates every week. Last week we had a ton of updates in the education space that matched what they were doing. So I think we're going to see it continue to ebb and flow. So there's nothing in canceled and there is nothing in launch this week. We have one thing in rolling out. And so this one is going to be great. This one's rolling out, and it's a smart upload management. And this is going to be your OneDrive for Business client is going to automatically adjust your sync client upload rate based on bandwidth availability. So this setting enables OneDrive sync clients to upload data in the background by only consuming unused bandwidth and not interfering with other applications using the network. A great feature when the world is in the middle of a pandemic and everyone is working from home.
Exactly.
So you probably see why that started to roll out pretty quickly.
I'm interested to see how this is going to work when you go back to scale and you're potentially, have 500 people on the same network. Like, how does it figure out what's unused bandwidth for 500 people,
I'm sure they will figure it out when the time
Smarter
comes.
people
right?
than me are doing it, so I'm sure it will probably work just fine. But
so that one is rolling out there, and then in development, things we've already talked about: Yammer app for Microsoft Teams, SharePoint Spaces we've already talked about, rich text editor for SharePoint lists and libraries, Microsoft Teams, screen share from chats, Microsoft Teams who can present in team meetings. I mean, these are all things that we have kind of talked about. So I'll leave it up to Tom and Adam. Is there anything on the list? I know, Adam, you said you had 1 or 2 that you thought were interesting. I'll kind of let you kind of chat through those, and then Tom, I'll let you do the same.
Tom, do you want to go first? Do you have anything you want to talk about?
Since she just blew through 2 or 3 of the items I had on my list.
Go ahead and talk to them. Go ahead and talk to them. It wasn't that they're on the list. I mean, we could have talked about them before too, but those are just, common ones. Go talk about any of them.
Not a problem, because I'll take the other one right below it that I was going to talk about. Microsoft 365 apps usage reports and update to other reports. We have a particular boss who is like, who's using what? Who's using what? We need to track adoption. We're like, we can give you sort of kind of numbers ish, especially when he gets into the, who's using the Outlook stuff? Who's using the Word stuff? Things like that. Well, now they're going to, as they say, to better support remote work scenarios, they're adding a new report that shows the use of Microsoft 365 apps. So that's Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, and Teams, updating the email activity report with calendar events activities, and a new pivot to the Office 365 active users graph to show total activity. I don't know that I would necessarily call that to better support remote work scenarios. I would call that just a really good report feature that I would like to see on a regular basis. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it will help us be able to show who's doing what, or I shouldn't say who's doing what, how many people are doing what with the different tools that we have, and will enable us to track adoption better. So I'm really liking that one. Looking forward to seeing that one actually hit launched and be in our environment.
Cool. I'll go over a couple real quick. As Jen said, there really is not a ton of stuff in here. But for our dev friends out there, I did think it's pretty cool. They're doing some advanced e-discovery stuff for the Graph API. So if you are an organization out there that does your own coding, does your own systems, some of the functionality in e-discovery and advanced e-discovery, I'm neck deep in this right now. Advanced e-discovery has quite a bit more of cool functionality around the management of cases. So e-discovery, you go through and you do content searches to find stuff, but the idea around cases is it can be a ton of searches that have different holds and stuff. So say you're a large organization that has to do that a ton. If you wanted to develop your own app or integrate it with existing apps that you have, that's going to now be available to you. Outside of that, the only two I really wanted to kind of make note of, hark back to my email days. They're releasing a hybrid agent for the GCC High/DoD tenants. All this really means, if you are in a hybrid environment, which basically means anyone who's going from their own dedicated Exchange server into Office 365, by far the best way to do that is with a hybrid approach, to where you basically hook up your on-premise system to Office 365. That makes moving the mailboxes much easier. It makes it a much more seamless experience, to where you can kind of take your time and do it user by user rather than having that jarring cutover experience. So everyone that can do this does it when they're migrating to 365. All the hybrid agent does is allows you to see free busy time on on-premise mailboxes. So it's not a huge deal, but say you have an organization of, I don't know, like 30,000 people because you're a giant federal organization. Well, it could actually be kind of jarring if you can't see information on someone's calendar based on where they are in the migration process, because it's going to take a while to migrate 30,000 users. So this is just a quality of life improvement when you're in flight and migration from a dedicated Exchange to Office 365. The other one, this is kind of a mouthful to say, but they're basically adding outbound and inbound support for SMTP options and Office 365 under what's called the DNS-SEC DANE. Huge mouthful, like I said. It's basically
easy for him to say.
the domain name system security extensions is what the DNS-SEC is, and it's basically
Say that 3 times fast.
No, it's basically a group that goes through and tries to put out protocols and put out, ways you should go through and do stuff. And basically, DANE stands for DNS-based authentication of named entities. All this really means is a new TLS protocol has been developed that they recommend how you're doing SMTP mail. SMTP mail is just typically the sending of mail. So when you send mail to another party or when they accept mail from you, it travels over SMTP and basic instances. So a new, more secure way of doing that has been done. This is Microsoft is saying they're implementing that for their outbound and inbound servers that are accepting SMTP. You don't need to know the details, just know they're basically staying in tune with up-to-date industry standards to be secure around email delivery. So this, again, it doesn't affect you really, but it's cool to see and what you'd come to expect from Microsoft at this point. And that's all I got.
Well, cool. Well, there you have it, y'all. Those are the updates for the week. So we will be back next week with another set of updates. I'm sure there will be many more things coming. Just because we're not seeing them on the roadmap doesn't mean they're not doing things. They've been adjusting and working so hard. If you are following their Twitter handles, the amount of work that they have been doing alone since COVID is happening, with them adjusting to working at home. Keep in mind that they were the center of where this all started. They were the first ones to have to work from home. They were the first ones that had a hotspot, and then adjusting to that, adjusting to life at home, and then still keeping us all very productive. It's been quite a year for them, and I think they're killing it. So great job. We love our friends with blue badges. And so here we go. Thanks for all that they do. And we'll bring you roadmap updates again next week. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, guys.